next round is called This Is My, where we bring on a mystery guest who has a close connection to one of our panellists. This week, each of Lee's team will claim it's them that has the genuine connection to the guest. It's up to David's team to spot who's telling the truth. So please welcome this week's special guest, Mario. So, Angelica, what is Mario to you?
This is Mario. He's the builder I accidentally exposed myself to.
Bob, how do you know Mario?
This is Mario. He's my pest controller. I got to know him when he was doing a big job for me, and ever since he's been sending me photos of massive rats.
OK. Finally, Lee, what is your relationship with Mario?
This is Mario, and we got into a row because he thought I was honking him, when in fact I was on my way to the garage to fix my faulty horn.
David's team, where will you begin?
Angelica, so you accidentally exposed yourself to Mario, is that right?
So, moved into the house and it needed lots of work doing. Yeah. The builders were in different parts of the house. So it's one of those things where if you had to have a bath or a shower, you had to take everything with you. So have it, and I came out of the bath and I forgot my towel. So peeked out the bathroom, thought the coast is clear, ran into the bedroom, and I thought, phew, I made it.
Yeah.
And Mario was standing in there.
Oh, no.
Also naked. And this is her practising her alibi to her husband.
And what did she say?
Nothing for about 10 seconds.
What did he say?
Nothing for about 10 seconds.
So there's 10 seconds of silence. You're naked, he isn't.
He's not naked.
Isn't.
How naked are you?
Everything was on show.
Why didn't you just run straight back into the bathroom? Why did you freeze?
You know when you have that moment of shock? I just stood there. I didn't even cover.
Yeah.
It's all sounding very suspicious, isn't it?
I was like...
10 seconds! That's a hell of a scene, and you go, oh!
It was, you know, like when you see films...
That's 10 seconds, that's quite...
It's quite a long time.
So what happened?
I think I walked slowly out.
You walked up, you haven't got the towel.
Because what...
What are you going to do? You walk straight out and what, then go down to the builder and say, he's seen it, you might as well.
All right, who's next?
Bob, what was the pest control situation that Mario initially had to resolve for you?
It was moths.
Whereabouts?
It was in my, not quite...
Wallet.
Wallet joke.
I love a moth in a wallet joke. Proper old school.
Oh, my God. It was like, it's like a half basement. It's where I store everything. Lots of bags of clothes that we, you know, haven't thrown out. Mario came round to sort it out, and it ain't easy.
Where do the rats come in?
Yeah,
you said rats, didn't you?
I got talking to Mario, and he showed me a picture of a rat.
I mean, just like you do, sort of, just as you're chatting, and I tell you what, there's a picture of a rat.
Yeah, if you saw the picture, you'd show it to anyone.
Why, is it a big rat?
Oh, wow, it looks like it's this big.
Yeah.
But I said, no, that's just him hold it, you know, towards the camera thing.
Yeah.
So it looks massive. And he was a bit offended by this. So subsequently, with his company, Rats All Folks. No, he had a very normal name.
Yeah.
Murder, She Roach. But he didn't like me doubting him.
And
so now, whenever he gets a whopper...
Yeah.
Bing!
Do you have a favourite rat picture he sent you?
Yeah, I won't let you see it, but wait. Have a look at this one, Lee.
Wow.
That's quite something.
That is genuinely shocking, and not sure that's legal, Bob.
All righty, now Lee.
Lee. OK, Lee, remind us of your story.
So this is Mario, and we had a row because he thought I was honking him, when in fact I was on my way to the garage to fix my faulty horn.
So the fault was that it wouldn't stop honking?
Yeah, it was honking randomly.
So it was sort of going off at different times. You didn't know when it was going to honk, and
Correct,
it was something.
correct.
And how many times did it go off when you were behind him?
I'd say at least a dozen. Sometimes it was a... Sometimes it was a...
So how did the fight break out?
Well, we had a row, not a fight. I'm not an animal. So we were driving along, and he's in front of me, and I'm probably a little bit too close to him, which was my mistake. But it went, and I sort of went, it's very hard to mime. I'm sorry, there's something wrong with my horn. Well, actually, there is a way of doing it, but... So I could see him looking every time it went, and I was going, this is all fine, you know. But it just, and eventually he stops in the road, and I couldn't get past him. And he gets out of the car and he approaches me.
Oh.
I opened the window and I thought, I better keep this up. So I just went, look, I'm sorry, mate, but... I've caught this off the car.
He came around, you opened the window, you
I didn't do that because it's not 1986, David.
no.
And that was annoying because you won't believe the noise it made when I opened the window.
Yeah. And... Tell us what happens then.
So he then said, you've got a problem, mate.
He appears to have a problem.
Yeah. You've got a problem, mate. And I said, I'm beeping you because my horn is broken. He does it for no apparent reason. Don't you beat me, mate. I'll give you what for.
Yeah.
At this point, he grabs me and he says, you do that one more time, mate. You do that one more time, and I'll be straight back.
Given that he was that aggressive to you, you do seem very relaxed being this close to him.
Yeah, but I did insist on the screens. Because that's how we first met. If I did that now, they'd go down and he'd attack me.
OK, we need an answer. So, is Mario Angelica's blushing builder, Bob's pest controller pal, or Lee's road rager?
Well, I mean, I'm tempted to eliminate Lee quite early on.
It did start falling to pieces.
I think Angelica's sounds like a real possibility. Like, that is something that could easily happen, I reckon.
What's difficult is the 10 seconds, isn't it? Let's be fair. I mean, you'd just scream and run away, wouldn't you?
I scream when I see my own reflection naked. yeah, absolutely.
You wouldn't stand there for 10
I
seconds.
just have to tell my... Cover the mirrors once more!
I also reckon you quite like getting rat pictures.
Yeah. Who would you stay in contact with? Someone you flashed at, or someone who sends you pictures of rats? And
Yeah.
I think it's more likely to be Bob, myself.
Oh, God, I think it's Angelica.
Do you?
Oh,
I know.
Please
Sorry.
agree.
I'm sorry.
Or I'll have to think.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go with Bob.
Yeah.
You want to go with Bob,
I
don't you?
I just want to be right. Sometimes I really don't care, but on this moment I want to be right.
I thought this show was a bit of fun.
So did I. OK, we're going to go for Bob.
You're saying it's Bob.
Going to go
Okay,
for
so it's
Bob.
Bob. You're saying it's...
Can we get it over with?
OK, we're going for Bob. Mario, would you please reveal your true identity?
Hi, I'm Mario, and Angelica accidentally exposed herself to me.
Yes. Mario is Angelica's blushing builder. Thank you very much, Mario.
So confused. He genuinely just showed me a picture of a man holding a huge rat.
Why?
I've got lots of pictures of rats.
Can we just settle this once and for all? Angelica, have you got any photographic evidence?
So, Debbie, what is Jonathan to you?
Well, this is Jonathan, and when he was a baby, I used to pull him out of a top hat.
Bob, how do you know Jonathan?
This is my friend Jonathan, and I have brewed 3 award-winning beers with him.
Right. And finally, Lee, what's your relationship with Jonathan?
This is Jonathan. One Sunday, the two of us spent 3 hours trapped in an automatic car wash.
David's team, where will you begin?
Well, Debbie, so you used to pull Jonathan out of a top hat?
Yeah, he
And
was
so, how old was he then?
about 6 months
6
old.
months.
Was he a rabbit at that stage? He's grown up into a lovely bunny.
What a cougar comment that was.
He's going for it, though. Look, he's aflame with desire. Look at him.
He's got the right hairstyle to be pulled out of a top hat.
So, where did this happen?
This was in a summer season
Where?
in Bournemouth.
Debbie, how big was the top hat then?
It was a prop top hat, so it was a bit bigger than a normal one. But, you know, babies aren't very big. He was only about this big.
6 months, not very big.
Yeah.
And so...
And was he the son of someone else in the summer season? Or
No,
was he one of the
was-
Chuckle Brothers' offspring or something?
No, it was a feature in the show, and we had different babies on different nights. You know, they were like in rotation, and they came from an agency.
So, who would bring Jonathan to the theatre?
His mother.
His mother?
Yeah.
And what would happen to him? I mean, I don't want you to give away the magic trick too much, but where was he stowed up to the moment where he's pulled out of the top hat?
I can't tell you because I'm a member of the Magic Circle and I can't give
That
the
is a
secrets
really
away.
handy thing for this game. I like it. Can you come on every week?
Well, don't give anything away, Debbie, but talk us through the trick.
There was a pretend rabbit, and then Paul would lift this big top hat from underneath and tipped it forward. And that's when I would come over as the assistant and take Jonathan out and say, and here's the rabbit's turned into a real live baby.
And the audience
And I'd
went,
be like
boo, we hate babies.
No, they don't.
How long did they have to wait to be revealed?
Not very long. It wasn't a very long trick.
So they were only briefly on stage before the
They were only briefly
reveal
in terrifying darkness alone.
Which they are in a cot when they go to sleep at night.
And indeed in a womb.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the ultimate trick, isn't it?
Now, who would you like to question next?
Yeah. Bob,
remind us what it was that you've said. How do you know Jonathan?
Because I have brewed 3 award-winning beers with Jonathan.
what are the names of your award-winning beers?
The one that's my favourite is called Kiss the Alderman. That's an IPA.
Kiss the Alderman, an IPA, yes.
IPA. Another one was a stout, and it was called Retail Park.
Retail Park.
Yeah. And the other one was a lager, and that was called... Not now, madam. It seems funny now. That's why we used it.
Not now, madam. Lager. Kiss the Alderman. Retail Park.
Can I just say, he's written these down, so I hope you can remember them.
How long did you two work together for?
About 2 years ago, I was in a field, Dion, collecting some mud to go and bury at home in my garden. And along came Jonathan, or J-Keg, as I call him. And he said, I recognise you off the telly, you're that Ray Mears, is what he said. And we got chatting, and he said, do you like beer? I said, I like beer. He said, would you like to brew some beer? And
quick.
I said, yes, I would, rather urgently, actually.
I've run out!
And he's got a brewery, JPEG.
Yeah.
It's a lean-to next to a barn, right next to the field where I was. It's quite big, actually. It might be a lean 3 or a lean 4. So I went in this marvellous little brewery that I'm imagining, and we mashed. Well, part of the process is mashing.
Right.
You put a load of hot water in the cylinder, and you have to stir the malt barley.
Yeah.
And I did that bit of it. And I thought, I adore this. Is there any way that I could see this process through, and we could call this beer Kiss the Alderman?
What is the Alderman?
He's an unelected council official. Say, for example, let's focus in on Bolton.
Yeah.
So if Bolton had a large Chinese community, but there was no representatives, councillors, they would say, would you like to informally nominate one of your Chinese community, and they will become an alderman, and they will sit on the council and be able to represent.
Right. No, that makes sense. So we've definitely covered what happens to the Chinese community in Bolton. However, back to the beer story.
Yeah, so and that was kiss the alderman. So we brewed 1,000 litres, bottled it, and it was the top beer in the Kent Craft Ale Society.
Can I ask, my husband is a brewer, what hops did you use?
Citrus hops. One of them's called something, and the other one likewise is named as well.
I mean, this all checks out.
You know what? The thing that is the hipster brewing beard. If you were to say to me, draw a brewer, that's what I'd draw.
That's what you draw now. It's very interesting, actually.
Now.
Whereas,
wow, really?
whereas if someone asked you to draw a brewer 30 years ago, you'd draw someone very different, wouldn't you?
I'd draw you.
Now, what about Lee? Lee, remind us of your claim.
This is Jonathan. One Sunday, the two of us got trapped for 3 hours in an automatic car wash.
Where was it? Where was the car wash?
It was just outside the car. Near where I live in southwest London.
Whose car was it? Who's driving?
It was my car.
And was Jonathan in your car with you?
Correct, he was the passenger.
Why? How do you know
Because
Jonathan?
we can't both drive.
How do you know Jonathan?
I know Jonathan because we're in the same football team.
What is it, a bring your granddad team?
So you were you driving back from football?
Driving to football.
Driving to football.
Washing your car on the way to football. Oh, I'm looking forward to the game, young Jonathan. I really can't wait. But tell you what, let's wash the car first, so that when we arrive, everybody says, oh, Lee's doing well.
You drove into the car wash, and what happened?
So, there was 3 options. It was gold, silver or bronze. And obviously, being from the north of England, I was looking for a lesser metal than all 3. But it stopped at bronze. So I went in and I said, can I have a car wash? And he gave me the token, and I went back out and I
Was it a token? Sometimes it's a code these days.
All right, then what he said was, the token is where the squirrel likes to hide.
When I say code, I don't mean riddle. I mean a series of numbers that you put into a keypad.
On this occasion, it wasn't.
You put the token in the slot.
Yes.
You advance into the car wash. The weird things start going.
Yeah, so the big brush at the front that goes over your bonnet, that came towards us.
Yeah.
And then the side ones came. It was the side ones that caused the main issue. They got to the door, stopped, and just kept doing that. And we couldn't open the doors. And it did not stop for 3 hours. I know, it sounds unbelievable.
What? Why don't you climb over into the back seat and get out one of the rear doors?
Because it's a 2-door car.
And I'm assuming this happened before the invention of the mobile phone.
No, that was not true. It was during the invention of the mobile phone.
During it?
During the invention. In fact, do you know what we did? We were so stuck, didn't know what to do for 3 hours, we decided to invent the mobile phone. No, it was... his phone was in his sports bag in the boot.
Where was your phone?
My phone was with me.
Why didn't you use your phone?
Because the battery had gone.
How did you eventually get out?
I absolutely screamed and screamed, and this stranger passing by saw a big button on the thing that said, emergency stop. So he pressed the button, and it stopped, and when it stopped, it reset itself back to how it should be. We opened the door, and I went in. And he went, you're back again. I said, yes, that's about my car. So what's up? I said, tell you what's up. The doors are phenomenally clean.
All right. We need an answer. So, David's team. Is Jonathan Debbie's magic mate, Bob's brewing buddy, or Lee's car wash companion?
I
Well.
can't believe Lee's story is the kind of story I would have to invent to tell my husband if I'd been in a car with Johnathon for 3 hours. Johnathon looks like a hipster brewer to me.
What do you think?
I think it's Bob. I think they're mates and they've done some brewing together, yeah.
Yeah, OK,
You think Bob met him in a field while collecting mud? He said, come and have a look at my brewery.
Yes, yes.
And we're going to call our beer Kiss My Alderman.
It's not Kiss My Alderman. It's Kiss the Alderman.
I'm so sorry. If it's true, I'm sorry.
Rob, you can immediately appreciate why Kiss the Alderman is much more marketable than Kiss My Alderman. I certainly call mine the Alderman.
But very popular with the Chinese community.
So, David, what are you going to say?
I think my team thinks it's Bob. Yeah, but let's go.
OK, you're going to say Bob. OK. Johnathon, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Johnathon, and I brew beer with Bob.
Yes, Johnathon is Bob's brewing buddy. Thank you very much, Johnathon. So please welcome this week's special guest, Keith. Bob, first of all. Bob, what is Keith to you?
This is Keith. He's my oldest friend, and when we were at school together, we hid a dictaphone in the classroom ceiling to confuse our teacher.
David Harewood?
This is my old teacher, Keith. I once had to claim I wasn't me when I met him in a cafe, as I was in character preparing for Homeland.
And finally, Lee, your relationship with Keith.
This is Keith, and his hawk... Yes. Yes, I'll admit, David, it's a difficult start. Well, go with it. Yeah. This is Keith, and his hawk was supposed to land on my arm at a village fete, but instead stole the wig from the man next to me and flew off into a tree.
So there we are. It's Bob's classroom prankster, it's David's blanked buddy, or it's Lee's hawk handler. David's team, where do you start?
So, yes, David, he was a teacher at your school?
Very briefly.
What, a whole lesson?
I mean, I don't know if... I mean, I would see him.
But he didn't teach you?
No, not teach me.
He was someone who hung around a school, and he was... Charitably, you assumed he was a teacher.
But if he was at the school a short period of time, how did you even recognise him in the cafe?
Oh, I knew it was him. He walked into the cafe and he said, "Hi, David," and basically I blanked him. It was literally the month before I went to America when I was doing Homeland, and I'd just been to see my dialect coach. He basically said I have to stay in my American voice. So...
Could you not have explained that to him in your American voice? I'm sorry, buddy, but I'm doing a wall here.
I don't think it was ever as good as that, John, to be fair.
I basically just had to say, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I'm remembering you now. Do the voice a bit more straight.
I said, I don't know what you're talking about.
Ooh, that did weird things to me.
So your dialect coach said, you're in this role, you need to stay in this character.
Yeah.
Now the lesson's over, let's go to a very public place.
Yeah.
We are likely to encounter several people.
Well, that's what you have to do. You have to stay in that voice. You have to have the confidence to stay in your voice.
Why can't you just, like, turn it on like an actor?
Oh, that's a cheap shot, Sarah.
I have to say, I did phone him up afterwards and apologise.
So you had his number?
You've stayed in touch with the teacher you barely remember.
Would it be fair to say the hawk's looking a bit more plausible?
So, David, who would you like to question next?
Bob, remind us of your allegation.
When we were at school together, we hid a dictaphone machine in the ceiling tiles to interrupt the lesson.
So not to record, but to play stuff?
Yeah.
What sort of stuff?
Well, it was important to keep a gap at the beginning, so we let it run for about 15 minutes. and then there was the noise of a fly. For a brief period, then another period, to confuse the teacher.
Where would you get the noise from the fly? You'd make the noise.
We'd make the noise ourselves,
Let's
I'm
hear
not
your
paying
fly
for no
noise.
fly to do it.
Let's hear your fly.
You know,
It does sound like a fly.
Can I hear your bee?
we didn't do a bee.
Do you know how to do a bee? Just like that fly.
Oh,
A
no,
bit louder.
it's more wholesome if it's a bee, isn't it?
Show me the difference, David.
Well, I don't know. I'm not...
Do
well,
it.
I'd say, OK, a bee would be a sort of a foot...
No, that's a
Whereas
bumblebee.
a fly is
Yeah. Very good. That's good. Very good.
Right.
Do you see the way he just slipped straight in and out of character?
So yes, there was silence.
Yeah.
Then a little bit of fly, silence, a little bit of fly, and then quite loudly, but not to frighten anyone, the word wolf. Then more silence. Yeah? A bit more silence. Then Speedway Stadium. Like that.
Speedway Stadium.
Do you know, the idea was just to say kind of random things. He was a really nice teacher called Bill Whitlingham.
How did Bill Whitlingham react to these random sounds?
Well, Mr. Whitlingham left the room and said, "Can you sort this out by the time I've gone back? Can you sort whatever it is that's going on?" And there was a cupboard in the corner where, interesting, it had like exercise books in it, pens and that, but it also had, in a little cage, a hand lion, which is a robotic, it's a battery-operated thing.
What? Are you just saying any words that come into your head? In any order?
It's a hand lion, and if
hand lion?
It's a robotic, animatronic hand lion, yeah? And if you'd been particularly good, he would put it on your hand and set it to lick it. Lick it. If you'd been particularly...
Was this like a clockwork lion?
No, it was remote control.
It was remote control?
Remote control. He had the controller in his desk, and he said, you've
the
been
actual
such a
hand
good
lion...
boy, get out the hand lion, and you'll get a lick. And if you'd been bad, you put him on your hand and you strike. You'd strike at your hand.
So the hand lion had two settings. It could lick or it could strike.
Yes, good boy, bad boy.
Right, very
Good boy,
sensible.
bad boy. Now, the only problem with it, of course, was...
What, this story?
It would... The only problem was, of course, if the batteries got low, it would get constipated. No, anyway, but in this cupboard, so we got up on the cupboard.
You climb onto the cupboard that
Yes.
the hand lion is housed in.
Probably asleep.
Right, you reach up onto the ceiling tile.
Take out the dictaphone.
Switch it off.
Yep.
Mr. Whitlingham comes back in.
Yes.
What happens?
He's nervously awaiting another, edict from above.
Yeah.
Doesn't come, we carry on with the lesson. British government and politics it was.
There was a lesson called British Government and Politics?
Yeah.
Whole year on that?
2 years, it was A-level.
For the sixth formers...
Yes.
A hand lion... a hand lion that can either lick or strike was what was used to express praise or the opposite to these 17 or 18-year-old students.
And it was very effective.
All right. Would you like to move on to the final claim?
So, Lee, tell the story about Keith.
I was at Village Fete, and...
Why were you at a Village Fete?
I was helping out.
What village?
Thames Ditton.
Why were you helping out at Thames Ditton Fete?
Because I don't live too far away from there, and they asked me to help out, and I did a few little things, like I did a bit of tombola, a bit of announcing. Then I went over to judge the pig racing. The usual things you do at a fete, you know.
The pig racing?
Yeah. I don't know why I judged it, because surely first past the post, but...
Well, no,
I was there in case of a dead heat.
And what happened with the hawk and Keith and the wig?
One of the things I had to do was to volunteer to stand there and learn. He had the little headpiece on where he'd teach the crowd basic falconry, I believe we call it. I stick the glove on and then hold this little thing. I don't know what it was, but I'm doing this.
A
I'm a bit
small
nervous.
morsel of meat.
Thank God you've been to one, because I haven't.
Yeah.
I'm holding a small morsel of meat. Then what happens? And
then the swan comes down.
The swan came down. So the hawk comes over, right? It comes up, but there's a person missing from this story, and it's the mayor, right? The local mayor. I can't say it in I always struggle.
Mayor.
The mayor. The mayor, right? The
So
mayor
you're
of London.
standing next to a horse.
Yeah, so the local... So the mayor is doing his bit, but the mayor has got a wig on, right? The hawk flies over to go and land on my hand, but he lands on the mayor's head, and so he gets caught up in his what should we call them? Talons. He gets caught up in the talons, and then in the sort of panic, the bird sort of... And he can't release this wig, and he flies off, and he goes into the tree. I said, why didn't he go for the meat? And he said, I genuinely think the gold chain caught his eye. There was a bit of confusion for a second, and he just did a bit of an emergency landing on a mayor's wig at Thamesden Fate. What's there not to believe?
At that point, did you cry, oh no, the mayor's hers over there?
All right, so David's team is Keith, Bob's classroom prankster, David's blanked buddy, or Lee's hawk handler.
I was believing Bob until the fact that he was 18 and the hand lion. I'm leaning towards David.
I think I'm leaning towards David.
I think it's Bob, and I think he panicked because he knew we were onto him, so he went on a ridiculous riff about a hand lion to throw us off the scent. I'll go Bob, but I've been wrong before.
Tara?
I'm going to go David.
We'll go David.
You're saying David?
Mm-hmm.
Keith, please reveal your true identity.
My name's Keith, and Bob and I recorded voices and hid the dictaphone in the ceiling.
Yes. Keith is Bob's classroom prankster.
I would never have believed all that stuff about a hand line was completely true.
Thanks very much, Keith.
Thank you.